Saturday at UFC 313, Magomed Ankalaev defeated Alex Pereira to win the light heavyweight title. And I heard that Ariel Helwani's post-fight show for 313 was absolutely horrible. I just got through watching the majority of it, and he is so unbelievably delusionally biased against Magomed Ankalaev and in favor of Alex Pereira. I could not believe my ears. First off, he scored it for Alex Pereira. And I know what some of you guys are going to comment down below. Just wait. Ariel came out with an apology. Ariel apologized on the Monday edition of his show. And I went through and watched that as well. We're going to take a look at both of these in this video. The apology was worse than the original post-fight. I thought when the apology came out, okay, maybe I won't do a video. Then I watched the entirety of the post-fight, or the majority of the post-fight, and I watched the apology, and it's literally worse than the post-fight, and the post-fight was horrendously bad. And I know there's a multitude of reasons why Ariel Helwani is, a fanboy of Alex Pereira and biased against Magomed Ankalaev. Some of those things people won't say out loud. We'll say them in this video, okay? We'll talk about them in this video. Some of them you may agree with me on, some of them you may not. But let's just jump right into it, okay? Because we had the first piece of evidence to check out. Ariel very rarely makes predictions, at least as far as I know. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But either way, look at this fanboy of Alex Pereira shooting bows and arrows and saying, Shama, Shama, Shama. Listen to this. Let's listen.
Alex Pereira, Shama, Shama. Anyway, this is a big test for him, and there's a lot at stake for multiple reasons. Number one, he's defending his UFC light heavyweight title. He's doing so against the guy who a lot of people consider to be his kryptonite, his boogeyman, Magomed Ankalaev.
By the way, I could tell when Ariel said that, he was disgusted that people would even think that.
Who only has one loss in the UFC, who's a very tough fighter, a somewhat, unheralded, unknown fighter, but he's got the style that a lot of people think will give Alex Pereira fits. They think he's going to make the fight dirty. He's going to take Pereira down. And so when this fight first...
By the way, anyone with the analysis that Ankalaev is just going to grapple, Pereira to death doesn't watch fights, because Ankalaev is primarily a kickboxer.
Came out when it was first made official, he opened up as a favorite, but that line is going down, and I tend to believe that a lot of people are kind of overlooking Pereira. I think Pereira wins this fight, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he knocks out Ankalaev. If Ankalaev is too focused on the takedown, he's going to get caught, and if he stands and trades with Pereira, he's going to get caught. So there we go. We have Ariel's horrible analysis, horrible fight analysis, and prediction, and he's shooting bows. The real thing I wanted to show you from that was this little Alex
intro.
Pereira,
what a cornball. Anyway, let's jump to the post-fight. This is immediately in the aftermath of UFC 313. I'm going to try not to get this video demonetized because I'm already getting infuriated. I've already heard this once. We're at the 39-second timestamp. This is 39 seconds into this video. This is his essentially live reaction. It's not live. They posted it immediately following the fight. We're 39 seconds in. This is basically the first time of this video that Ariel has opened his mouth and listened to what he has to say. Oh, this is a nightmare for the UFC, and Pereira's so popular and Ankalaev's not. Listen to this. I hate this. By the way, I'll link this down in the description if you want to go suffer through it. I'll also link the apology video down in the description as well if you want to go check it out. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Let's listen.
In this moment, guys, I'm reminded of an interaction that I had with a young man named Jared Shaw, aka Scala, back in October of 2008. This was...
First off, nobody gives a fuck. But let's listen to the conversation that he's thinking of, because he tells a story from 2008 about Kimbo Slice that reminds him of tonight.
After Seth Petrozelli knocked out Kimbo Slice in Fort Lauderdale, and when I did the post-fight interview with him for the late-grade MMArated.com, I asked him, Jared, is this your worst nightmare? And he was all shifty and tried to pretend like it wasn't. And if I was at UFC 313, that's the first question that I would ask Dana White. And he wouldn't admit to it, but make no mistake about it, this is a nightmare scenario for the UFC. And I say that only because Alex Pereira, and I was trying to rack my brain, as we were getting ready to go here. Alex Pereira is arguably the most popular active fighter in the UFC right now. I stress active because Conor McGregor, as long as he's still living and breathing and still a UFC fighter under contract, he will.
There's more to this clip. He opens up the show with "This is a nightmare for the UFC." First off, don't get me wrong. Dana White did not want Pereira to lose this fight. Pereira was protected by the UFC and Dana White for long periods of time. At the end of the day, the UFC brand is as strong as it has ever been. Okay? Is it falling off a bit if you've been a hardcore? Yes. But it seems like it's an actual nightmare for Ariel Helwani, who's the ultimate Alex Pereira fanboy or the ultimate Magomed Ankalaev hater. You would think Ariel gets direct cuts of UFC pay-per-view revenue, but that's just simply not true. It is the media bias that I've talked about since the inception of this channel. A lot of the MMA media is plainly biased to quote-unquote stars in the sport because they indirectly funnel money into their pockets. They are more relevant when you have bigger stars in the sport. So they are essentially PR arms of the UFC and push certain guys who are already popular or who they see star potential in, and they want them to succeed because it indirectly puts money in their pocket. It makes them more relevant. It gives them more job security. It gives them more clicks and views and relevancy and, whatever else may come along with that. It makes them more relevant in the space when there is a Conor McGregor level star, when there is an Alex Pereira level star. So that's part of this as well. But let's carry on.
Always be the most popular, but he's not so active these days. He hasn't fought since 2021. And he just lost his title in a very close fight, and we'll weigh in on how it should have gone in a moment, to someone who is nowhere near as popular as him, not even in the same stratosphere. And I was trying to find a historical comparison to this moment. Supremely popular fighter losing the belt to a not so popular fighter.
What about those Instagram reel views of the belt wrap, Ariel? I think it's the most ever. It was some ridiculous amount. I featured it in other videos, but that's besides the point. First off, who even watches this shit? It's like, yeah, man, most popular fighter loses to unpopular fighter. Oh my God. Like, what kind of analysis is that post-fight? Like, what is that? Is this where MMA media is heading? This is the type of breakdowns they're giving 1 minute in? Yeah, man. Alex Pereira popular and fun. Ankalaev not popular. UFC nightmare. Think about how fucking stupid that is. Again, that was 40 seconds in. We're now 2 minutes and 5 seconds in. Let's jump ahead because there's so much more. I got to stop going on rants, but Ariel's really pissing me off. And the apology is so much worse than this video in general, because now we're going to listen to him talk about more star power. We're going to listen to him talk about the scorecards and how he scored it for Alex Pereira, which then he changed his mind and apologized for, but we'll get to that later. Listen to this.
Something that we all talked about going in, the UFC's star problem and how big of a issue this would be if it went this way, if this result actually materialized. And now here we are staring at Magomed Ankalaev as a light heavyweight champion. And guys,
no credit. No credit at all. No credit for Ankalaev. By the way, Ariel's literally acting like his house was just burnt down. And he lost his dog because Pereira lost to Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, seriously, give me a break.
Listen to me. Don't believe me when I tell you that this is a nightmare. Just look at the UFC's actions. They did everything in their power not to give this guy a title shot because they did not want to face the reality of him being a champion. Same situation with Bilal Muhammad, and the same situation ended up happening. In the end,
that is actually true, but Ariel was in alignment with the UFC because, again, there's a multitude of reasons why. We'll get to that later.
In case you're wondering, I scored it for Alex Pereira, and that's a shoot. That's from the heart. I had it 3-2 for him. I thought he won 48-47. First round was easy to score. Alex Pereira. Second round, easy to score. Magomed Ankalaev. We'll skip the third for a moment. Fourth, easy to score. Ankalaev. Fifth, easy to score. Pereira. It all came down to the third round. Yeah. I had it for Alex Pereira. It appears as though the judges here, I'm looking at it in real time. Ankalaev. They all had it for Ankalaev. You get 49-46 and 2 48-47s. I have no idea how. Did one judge not? Can we put that back up?
Round 3 was the swing. Round 3 was the swing.
First off, are all these dudes brain dead? I know people make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Round 3 was the swing. Round 3 was the swing. What does that even mean? All three judges had it for Magomed Ankalaev. But Ariel scores it 3-2 for Alex Pereira. Delusional scorecard. Absolute delusional scorecard. It was 4-1 Ankalaev. The only round Pereira won was round 1. It is closer to a 5-0 win for Ankalaev than it is a 3-2 win for Pereira. But listen to what Ariel has to say here.
No, but they all gave the who? How did Sal D'Amato get? He gave him the fifth round.
He gave him the
Get
fifth.
the fuck out of here with the fifth. What are you talking about? How's that possible? He did nothing in the fifth.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about, Ariel? Pereira? What are you scoring the fifth round? This man is pissed that the fifth round was scored for Ankalaev. What are you scoring it on? Commentary? What are you scoring it on? A phantom head kick that didn't land? Because Ankalaev outstruck him in round 5 and also controlled him in the clinch in round 5. Round 5 wasn't a blowout either way. Ankalaev clearly won round 5. And this man is, oh my God, I can't believe round 5 for Ankalaev. Get out of here, Sal D'Amato. Get out of here, Ariel. You don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I mentioned in my tweet that he stuffed the takedowns. I'm not saying that that's a reason to score the round for Pereira. I'm just saying the big talking point going into this fight was that he was just going to wrestle him all day. In the end,
Yeah, if you were mentally ill, you thought that.
he didn't take him down once, I believe. There was not one successful
did not.
takedown. So all that ended up being a moot point.
So now we are almost 5 minutes into this post-fight. He complains about the scorecards. He scored it for Pereira. And now he's giving Pereira a participation trophy for stuffing takedowns. For stuffing takedowns. Oh, well, yeah, he stuffed takedowns. Oh my God, what was Sal D'Amato thinking? He stuffed 2 takedowns. They weren't even real takedown attempts, you dumbass. Anyway, let's continue. The whole staff, I'm just skipping ahead a little bit here. The whole staff is brain dead. You know, it's just, they all scored it for Pereira. I mean, this is total media biased if I've ever seen it.
He can tout. So you had 135, yes? It sounds like you're on the same.
I had
page as us.
135. Yeah, what did you guys have?
We both had
135.
135 for Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I thought the third round was close. I do think Alex did the better work there.
What work? Someone tell me what work. I gotta calm down. I'm gonna ruin this video by screaming at the top of my lungs. What work did he do? Somebody tell me. I've tweeted out multiple times over the last couple of days. Any Pereira fanboys who think he won, send me a 10-second highlight reel of Pereira in the fight. None of them have yet taken me up on that offer because it does not exist. Pereira is highlighting a takedown after the bell, a trip after the bell. That's his biggest highlight of the entire fight. But let's jump ahead because there's way more. There's way more. I mean, it's participation trophy galore here from Ariel Helwani. He starts giving Pereira credit for essentially butchering Ankalaev's legs. Again, Joe Rogan commentary. Listen to this.
But I thought it was really interesting in the first round, they were talking about, well, maybe because Magomed Ankalaev's a lefty, he's a southpaw, the leg kicks wouldn't be as big of a factor. And immediately as they said that, you saw Alex Pereira attacking the legs from the inside.
Look at this little fanboy grimace, shit-eating grin. Yeah, immediately you saw the leg kicks.
Or excuse me, from the outside, and he did a great job of doing that, and you could see the calves really starting to become a problem.
I gotta stop. Can somebody please point to me any incident in the fight where the legs were a problem for Ankalaev? Just give me a 5-second clip, a 3-second. They were never a factor in the fight. The only factor they were was Joe Rogan commentary. Acting like, man, Ankalaev's buckled. Ankalaev's limping around. The fact that some fans and some media members are so brain dead that we can't even agree on reality is a massive problem in this sport. We can't, they became a massive problem. Where? Is this guy a fan of the sport? Does he watch? I understand naturally you're going to have some bias towards certain fighters for one reason or another, but you can still look at things objectively. Those leg kicks had no true impact on the fight whatsoever, other than that was what Joe Rogan hyped up the entire time. Let's skip ahead. We got more to check out. Believe me, we got more to check out because this dude does the ultimate sin, at least from my perspective. Ariel starts pulling up stats to justify Pereira winning. I mean,
up against the cage. You don't know. The stats have just come out. I'm looking at them now. That third round, which seems to be the big one, and again, the stats don't necessarily tell the whole story, but Pereira lands 21 of 34. Ankalaev lands 17 of 40. And that's significant strikes. And according to this website, UFC Stats, the significant and total strikes are the exact same, which I'm not sure how accurate that is. But
yeah, so let me cite something to prove my argument, and then say, imagine pointing to something to push your argument, and then at the end saying, yeah, I'm not really sure how accurate that is. This man is pointing to stats to try to justify Pereira beating Ankalaev, which would have been a brutal robbery, by the way. It was 4-1 Ankalaev. Let's carry on. There's a lot to check out from this thing. I mean, it just gets worse and worse. And wait till you hear I haven't even gotten to the apology yet. This is where he starts to criticize and push the fan narrative. Yeah, man, it was a boring fight. It wasn't a good fight. Shut up.
I thought Pereira won, what would that be? 47-46.
48-47.
48-47. It's been a long freaking day. And if we're being honest, it wasn't a very good fight, right? Like it was.
On both sides, it was not very entertaining.
It was not entertaining on both sides. There were no real holy shit moments. Probably the only holy shit moment was that second round, right? The very end over there. But
that second round, the very end over there. He's talking about when Ankalaev damn near starched Pereira out cold, but was saved by the bell. He'll hype up the leg kicks, but yeah, man, that last second in the second round over there wasn't a very entertaining fight on both sides. I saw a fight where Ankalaev walked down supposedly the best striker in the UFC and beat the piss out of him, okay? It wasn't the most crazy beatdown of all time, but Ankalaev walked forward and landed the bigger shots. And here you go, Ariel pushing the narrative. Yeah, Anka's boring, this and that. And you wait till you see what they suggest should be next for Pereira outside of the rematch. We're going to get to that in a second. If you didn't enjoy this fight, this is where I'm so disconnected from a lot of the fan base and a lot of the media, because I feel like a lot of the media just follow the leader. Wherever the fan base pushes them, that's where they follow. This was a great fight. This was an enjoyable fight. Okay, if you want to say, oh, well, the fourth round wasn't my favorite. This was two elite athletes. Here's the way I compare it, okay? Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree was fun to watch, okay? That is a preseason game where there's a blowout, or where an NFL team has already made the playoffs, they take their starters out, and then the other team who needs a win to go to the playoffs, has their starters in, they blow them out, okay? And I know that's not exact comparison because it was a back and forth fight with Khalil and Pereira. And then you have two elite level guys going at it, Pereira and Ankalaev. It's more of like a hard fought, low scoring postseason game. That's the way I see it. But these guys pushing this narrative like it was a boring fight, you just don't enjoy the sport at a high level. You want WWE. You're trying to turn this into WWE. But let's carry on. I think there's a couple more seconds from this.
Yeah, it never clicked.
Yeah, it never clicked for you because you're a bum who wants WWE. Get the fuck out of here. Next clip we're going to take a look at. This really just exposes the bias wholeheartedly. He wants Ankalaev to rematch Pereira. And then he says if Pereira wins, he needs to run with that W. He needs to run off with that W. No trilogy. Absolutely not. And look at the smirk and the shit-eating grin on his face when he says it. Listen to this.
He gets that done, though. Let's say he wins the fight against Magomed. Then there's going to be the call for a trilogy. Like, it just feels like it overly complicates something that's
let me
more
tell you
simple.
Something. The game, if he wins,
I know that he wouldn't get it. Fight,
I know he wouldn't get it. Take that W and run away.
But then what?
Take that W and run away. I really hate this shit, man. Because people like this help push narratives in the sport. People like this, and I've defended Ariel when I've thought Ariel was correct. Okay, I'm not one of these people that just bash Ariel left and right. People like this drive narratives in the sport, and fans run with it. People like this is one of the main reasons that I started my channel, because you have people like Ariel or other media members or other content creators push the dumbest narratives And then the people who watch them and live in an echo chamber just regurgitate them. And in this case, you have the Pereira fanboys who will just eat this right up. Yeah, man, Pereira won, 3-2, Pereira won. Yeah, how do you give him the third round? You're smoking crack. That's the only way. And then the last clip I want to show you, these dudes start talking about, and I told you, and it wouldn't surprise me if this ends up happening. They're like, yeah, man, if John Jones isn't returning, do Tom Aspinall versus Pereira for the undisputed title. Listen to this.
Here's what we're not saying. Maybe this ends up being a blessing in disguise for the UFC, because if John Jones is asking for a lot of money and they can't make that fight, they put together Tom versus Alex, and maybe that softens the blow.
I think that,
What do you even say to this? So essentially, lose your belt, move up a weight class for a free title shot. Is that the Pereira mantra at this point? Loses to Adesanya at middleweight, can't make the weight anymore, moves up, robs Jan Blachowicz, gets a title shot. Now they want him to move up to heavyweight and just get a title shot right away, which would not surprise me. The UFC would do that. And the problem is, people normalizing this. It's a slippery slope. I've been saying it for years, and it's only gotten worse. Undeserved title shot after undeserved title shot after undeserved title shot. I understand the heavyweight division isn't that deep. There isn't a lot of contenders. Pereira moving up. Move Pereira up. Let him fight a Taffa brother, KO a Taffa brother, then give him maybe a title shot. But he just lost to Ankalaev. Imagine if Ankalaev said, yeah, I want to go up to heavyweight right now and fight Tom Aspinall if Jones retires. They would scoff at that. They would think, oh, who does he think he is? Who does Big Ank think he is? That's what they would say. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, or some people are going to say, maybe not a lot of people. They're saying, man, Joey, what are you doing? Ariel already issued an apology, man. He already issued an apology. The apology was worse than what I just showed you. The apology could have been its own video. I thought about breaking this into 2 videos, but I got to make it into one. The apology was so horrible. The apology was so disingenuous. I could not believe my ears. I couldn't even stomach. It was a 17-minute video. I could only watch about 10 minutes of it. Instead of actually giving Ankalaev any credit, he says, man, we got to give Ankalaev his flowers, and then proceeds to shit on Ankalaev and prop up Pereira for his takedown defense. Here's the beginning of it. He apologizes, says, I rewatched the fight. I scored it for Ankalaev. Listen to this.
But I say all of this because I need to offer an apology. I need to offer a two-pronged apology. As I just mentioned,
this is not an authentic apology. This is a bullshit apology. He's biased. He wants to suck off Pereira. He's a fanboy. And multitude of other reasons, which we're going to get into.
I watched the fight. On Saturday, in the the very bleary-eyed hour of 1:15 a.m. when we're doing the post-show, I said that I thought Alex Pereira won the fight 3-2, 48-47. I said that I scored round 1, 3, and 5 for Alex Pereira, 2 and 4 for Magomed Ankalaev, and I felt like 1 through 4 were quite easy to score. Excuse me, 1, 2, 4, and 5 were easy to score. 3 was the swing round. 3 was the toughest round.
I would love to know what somebody's scoring round 5 for Pereira. How? One jab? He landed one jab. That's the only shot to the Ankalaev's head he landed the entire fight. You scoring round 5 off that jab? The fact that he watched this and rescored it 3-2 Ankalaev is even worse almost. But let's continue. As Sean Strickland would say, I regress. Okay? I regress.
I watched the fight again this morning. I made a mistake. Magomed Ankalaev, in my opinion, won that 3rd round. And so with that, in my opinion, he's the rightful winner. Now,
look how disgusted he is to even say this. And then watch how he immediately tries to discredit him afterwards.
My opinion doesn't really matter, but I did say on the post-fight show that I thought it was 1-3-5 for Pereira. I rewatched it. I thought Ankalaev was way more aggressive, landed the bigger shots. It wasn't the most entertaining fight of all time. It was a lot of leg kicking and a lot of 1s and 2s. That was pretty much it. It felt like Alex Pereira never really quite got going, and that was probably...
To give Ankalaev the decision now. I'm sorry, I think Ankalaev won. He was way more aggressive, but it wasn't the best fight, man. It was so boring. How was I possibly able to score? I was falling asleep the whole time. And then goes into kind of low-key, subtle excuses for Alex Pereira. Man, Pereira just wasn't able to get going. He had an off night, essentially what he's implying here. And it gets worse.
Because of the presence of Ankalaev and the threat of the takedown, although he was 0 for 12, I do believe, with takedown. So we have to give Alex Pereira a ton of credit.
This passive This passive aggressive little bitch. Yeah, man, he wasn't able to get going because of the Ankalaev and the threat of the takedown, even though he was 0 for 12 in a boring ass fight. I'm gonna rewind that again just so I can get infuriated even more.
And that was probably because of the presence of Ankalaev and the threat of the takedown, although he was 0 for 12, I do believe, with takedowns. So we have to give Alex Pereira a ton of credit. His takedown defense was phenomenal. But
No, it wasn't. Ankalaev was never committed to any of those takedowns except maybe in the 5th round. He's already given Pereira more credit than he's given Ankalaev in 2 shows. And this is supposed to be like the leader of the mainstream MMA media, the legacy MMA media. Yeah, man, Pereira credit for the stuff and takedowns. What? What world are you living in?
he never really quite going. He was never his usual aggressive self. There were moments. The biggest shot was landed at the end of the 2nd round when Ankalaev landed the big shot, and it looked like Pereira got rocked, and it looked like he kind of got saved by the bell, if we're being 100% honest. And
it looked like he kind of got rocked. No, he was rocked, and he did get saved by the bell. But then he acts like Ankalaev doesn't have power after that. Listen to this.
And maybe if he's fighting a true knockout artist, in that moment, maybe it's lights out. Maybe it's good night in that moment. He was always on the back foot. It always felt like he was retreating, and it just never quite felt like he could get going for whatever reason. Who knows? There could be a million of different reasons given. In the end, he never quite got going, and I don't.
He's setting up injury excuses. He's subtly implying injury excuses. That's what he's doing here. We don't really know. There could be a ton of reasons.
Don't feel as though he won the fight. Upon watching it again, I don't feel like he won the fight. I think Ankalaev won 1, 3, and 5. The other apology.
Then he goes into his second apology. Let's just skip ahead a little bit. His second apology is not giving Ankalaev his flowers. Let's listen to him give Ankalaev some credit finally. This is him giving Ankalaev credit.
Pereira losing is the big story, but we do have to give Magomed Ankalaev his flowers. He went in there against one of the most feared strikers in recent UFC history, against one of the best fighters in recent UFC history, and he was able, for the most part, to exact his game plan and win the fight. Now, did it all work? No. He got stuffed 12 times. So it wasn't a perfect showing.
I think you've been stuffed 12 times by Alex Pereira. Okay, did you see how painfully he delivered that? Ankalaev went in there and he exacted his game plan, but man, he went 0 for 12 on those takedowns. Let's listen to that one more time.
And he was able, for the most part, to exact his game plan and win the fight. Now, did it all work? No. He got stuffed 12 times. So it wasn't a perfect showing. It wasn't an A+, but he did the job. He got it done, and he's the champ. Fair and square. And so I do think that we need to acknowledge that. Now, the UFC is going to try to right this wrong. Make no mistake about it. And I think Pereira...
Right this wrong? What kind of terminology are you using to describe this fight? The UFC is going to try to right this wrong. There was no wrong. Ankalaev beat him fair and square 4-1. UFC is going to try to right this wrong.
Comes back better. I think he comes back stronger. I think he comes back fighting smarter. And I think he realizes what me worry. I don't need to worry about these takedowns. I stuffed all of them. I just need to be me. I've been in there against some of the very best strikers, and I just need to enforce my game plan. I need to be the aggressive one on the front foot. And
so let me summarize that. Man, Ankalaev won, but barely. And Pereira's takedown defense looked phenomenal. And in a rematch, Pereira beats him. UFC's going to give him a rematch to right this wrong, and Pereira's going to beat him. That was him giving flowers. And you can go check out the full thing if you want. I'll link it down in the description. That was him giving his flowers to Big Ank. That was him giving his flowers to Magomed Ankalaev, the undisputed light heavyweight champion, the uncrowned champion since 2022 when they robbed him after Glover Teixeira ducked him. Ariel is such a little bitch for this. I swear on my life, this is so annoying. And a lot of people point out Ariel's religion and the whole conflict going on in the world right now, which we're not going to delve deep into by any means. Could that be a factor in this? Yes, it absolutely could be. It would not surprise me if that was part of the factor of why Ariel is so biased. But what I really think it is Ariel does not like Ali Abdelaziz. Not a lot of people like Ali, okay, in the MMA media space. And I think more than likely Ariel's just biased for a multitude of reasons, including the fact that Ankalaev's manager is Ali Abdelaziz. And also he's an Alex Pereira fanboy. Okay. So you have the religion factor in there. By the way, I don't totally discount that. I used to say, nah, I don't believe that. No, I think that's actually a factor. It's the media bias, which I pointed out earlier. And it's the fact that Ali Abdelaziz is Magomed Ankalaev's manager. Then you top it all off with the fact Alex Pereira, one of the biggest stars in the sport, guess whose show he goes on all the time? He goes on Ariel Helwani's show. So Ariel is showing a disgusting, delusional level of bias for Alex Pereira and against Magomed Ankalaev. This dude acts like he's so fair and balanced, but his bias just seeps through. He can't even give Ankalaev credit for beating, in his opinion, one of the best fighters in the sport in Alex Pereira, and clearly beating him and outstriking him for the majority of the fights. He's pulling up stats to justify an Alex Pereira win. I think this is disgusting. I think it's embarrassing. I think this level of bias in MMA media is the reason that it's dying, especially the legacy MMA media. And I had to do a video exposing this because Ariel was so bad in the post-fight. The apology was so fake. This was a fake-ass apology. Okay? I'd be happier if he just came out, man, I thought Ankalaev lost because he's Muslim. I thought Ankalaev lost because he's Ali Abdelaziz's client. I thought he lost because Alex Pereira comes on my show. I'd have more respect then. But instead, he sits there and tries to dictate the narrative and brainwash the people that do watch him into seeing what he saw. And he can't even give another fighter the credit that they deserve for winning the undisputed title. What a complete embarrassment. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.